Hi, I'm Shauna K. Lester, founder of Memorable Essay Admissions Consulting. I help ambitious individuals to get into the schools of their dreams, into the programs of their dreams. And really, I love working with people who want to do that, who want to get those dream admissions so that they can go on to make a certain kind of impact in the world. That's what really, brings me a lot of joy. Today, I'm happy to be talking with Iris Tsai. Iris is a wonderful young woman who I met some years ago. Some backstory there, but she will be going on to studies in an area that I personally find very exciting. Maybe some of you psychology buffs have heard of it before, but dealing with her was really my introduction to it. So I'm happy for her in terms of how things turned out, and just also really intrigued by what she is studying and how she wants to use it. So she's going to talk with us a bit today. So of course, if you're considering graduate school in psychology, this will probably be a very exciting and informative conversation for you. So welcome, Iris.
Thank you, Shanna. So maybe just a bit of introduction about myself.
Right, go ahead.
I originally come from China, moved to Canada 17 years ago. Right now, I've been working in Vancouver, Canada for many, many years. My full-time job was at University of British Columbia's Sauder School of Business, and I coach MBA students with their career, professional, and personal development, and also plan lots of events that supports the students' development. Outside of that, I also am the founder and principal coach and consultant for both careers. Within this, I say the side hustle, I host and facilitate workshops that uses a very interdisciplinary approach using design thinking, coaching techniques, and also very basic but also advanced techniques within the career reinvention realm to help individuals who are very entrepreneurial minded and also want to get more out of their life, their career, to really brainstorm and come up with action plans. So it's a one-day workshop that I do outside of that. And on top of that, I also do one-on-one coaching. So that's what I have been up to until this point.
Okay, great. How did you come up with the idea for that, actually, really briefly? As I heard you talking about that, I was wondering, how did you come up with working with people who want to reinvent their careers?
I think it really comes down from me having gone through the similar kinds of struggle prior to pivoting into a coaching career. I actually spent about 7 years with a telecom in marketing, various areas of marketing. So having that career conversation, thinking about what is my next gig in the company, is actually very normal because it's a big company and it encourages employees to move around in the organization. At some point, I noticed that there is after 7 years, I would say, I have lacked really that guidance that I could have been given from someone to ask the right questions to myself to take the next step in my career and my life. So I did a lot of soul searching myself, took it upon myself, and also hired coaches to help me understand my own values, even going back to my childhood, my teenage years, to understand what those interests are, what is something in the world, some problems that I really want to dedicate my life into solving. So, that entire process led to a lot of, opportunities. And at one point I remember remembering that I used to really want to help new immigrants with their smoother transition into a working environment in Canada, because I was in HR before as well. And I noticed a lot of people who were really highly qualified, but they had to settle for whatever work that helps them pay the bill, like working in retail service, lots of those. And I think it's pretty heartbreaking, and I think the Canadian society did not do enough to prepare them. So that was really the original mission at that point that got me into coaching and the career realm, to support people in that transformation. I would say transition, because a lot of us, a lot of our adult time, waking time is spent working, right? And when you
Right.
career, you kind of lost your identity in the world.
Mm. Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that before. That's really interesting. All right. So could you tell us a bit more about what on earth is positive psychology? If we didn't major in psychology in undergrad, what is positive psychology? For those of us who've never really heard of positive psychology, could you tell us a bit about what it is?
Yeah, so in general, a definition is the study, the science of the strengths that allows individuals and organizations to thrive. So to give you some example, in the area of education, the application of positive psychology could come in the shape of fostering students' exploration of their strengths rather than focusing on what they could have improved on, right? Helping them understand, okay, what is the peak experience you've had in your life? And looking for insights in that experience to see, okay, what is something that's really important to you? And try to cultivate more of that, right? Fostering joy and teaching students gratitude, because I recently actually have been reading a book. There's actually scientific studies that have shown that all those positive emotions have been proven to increase creativity, to help us connect with other human beings better. And when we feel that we're actually one, we are a collective rather than isolated individuals, we're more likely to do things for other people. We're more likely to see the big picture. So positive psychology is not just about helping people feel good, helping people feel happier with their life. It's actually cultivating the positive resources actually within ourselves so that we can deal with the ups and downs in life, the negativity in life more effectively.
Okay. And so when you said, I love how you have all this insider speak, when you said cultivate the positive resources inside ourselves, what does that mean?
Yeah, so again, let me just think about it a little bit. One example would be getting into meditation, being able to slow down and be present and understand what is actually great within our lives, being able to have shelter and food and maybe health, just rather than focusing on what is lacking in our lives. So that is actually a kind of habit that can train our brain to focus on those more positive areas. And over time, it actually allows individuals to build more capacity. They actually are more likely to and capable of noticing solutions within their lives and be able to be connected with people more effectively. So that is one application. Other things would include being able to bounce back from setbacks more effectively. So there's actually a lot of different ways to do that. Meditation is really like the foundation, but of course I don't go to school, grad school to learn meditation. It's just like when it comes to intervention with, say, an individual who has been dealing with a lot of issues, or in organizations where they want to help their employees manage stress. That mindfulness kind of training, it's really, really important. Yeah, but there are so many other, they call it positive intervention ways to help organizations and individuals build that capacity. That obviously I'm going to learn in grad school and learning how to measure it as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I can see how that would be beneficial, especially for you in an academic setting, if students really believe in their ability to bounce back and to get over anything, the resilience and the grit. I can see where that is absolutely priceless.
Yeah. There's, I mean, I don't have the stats here, but we do have, I would say, a rising risk in the mental health, mental well-being all over the world. Actually, this generation right now, millennials, and I would say the Gen Zs, they grew up with social media, and I feel that they're even more prone to suffering from some, I would say, mental well-being episodes of feeling more down in a way. Give you actually what the stat that I do have is that every single day there is 11 Canadians who commit suicide, and we're actually among like we're a very positive nation. However, we're also among many nations like near the top where mental health is really an epidemic within the world, and that we need to address. And so I really also see that as one of the missions that I would like to help conquer, because every one of us have a risk of experiencing some mental well-being challenges, and building that positive muscles would help us weather that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And so you're heading to UPenn. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks
Yes,
for your help as well.
well, yeah, everything. You're welcome. Could you tell us a little bit about what specifically drew you to that program? So if there's someone else thinking, hey, I want to get, do you call it a MAPP degree? Do I want to get a master's in applied positive psychology? What drew you to UPenn? Because you were very focused that it was here. I'm going here.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, there aren't that many programs or master's programs in positive psychology that is out there. The term of positive psychology was born, I think, around 1998. It was suggested by Dr. Martin Seligman, who was then the president of the American Psychology Association, I believe. So he suggested this concept of studying the positive side of psychology rather than the negative side, right? Depression, anxiety. So it was born then, very still early on. So there are a lot to choose from, but I would say the most importantly is one. The founding fathers of positive psychology teach us there. Dr. Seligman actually would be my prof. He would be teaching one of the courses, and faculty that are world-renowned, such as Angela Duckworth. She would be teaching us in that program. So I just love being able to be surrounded by the best of the best in that field, and just alumni who are attracted to that program. I just really wanted to be part of that, and it's really meaningful for me. And another really practical reason is that it's kind of like a hybrid model. So and not too long. So I would be finishing the program within 1 year, 8 months of which I would be flying over to Philadelphia to take those on-site courses. But when I'm in Vancouver, the rest of the 3 weeks each month, I will be studying online, collaborating with my classmates in that sense too. Yeah, and also there's a applied part of the program as well. The last 4 months of the program, it's a capstone project. So I will be working on something that is a real life case or application. So helps with the transition back into our real life. So I like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize the founding father teaches there. So that's cool. That's very different.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
It does, because oftentimes you're so far removed from whoever started whatever in the field that you love. It's just something you read about. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are people actually even from Switzerland before, Europe, some other spots of the world, like India, who moved to came here to study us. So it really drew some international students from all over the world who really respect this program.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like novel things, and it makes sense to me. So for instance, when you said it's best to focus on the more positive things instead of on the negative parts of psychology, like
Yeah.
anxiety and depression, I had never even thought of that. But it's like, yeah, we've been studying the negative
Yeah.
parts, but what
Yeah.
about like the good parts about healthy psychology? It makes perfect sense when you say it.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of findings within positive psychology and applications of that would still help people with their depression and anxiety and other mental well-being challenges as well. So they're really, it's not like it will not solve the other side of the equation.
All right,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Great.
All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your memorable essay experience. I remember, so Iris was, of course, a wonderful client. In the beginning, we had a bit of hesitation. She was like, well, this is a bit more than I thought. But of course, you went ahead. So I'm actually interested in knowing, what made you feel confident to go ahead, and then what you thought of our experience together.
Yeah, so I think there's actually something very interesting I'd like to share with you and whoever listeners out there, audience out there, is that I didn't get into this program the first time I applied, which is last year. And at that time, I just thought that, this is great. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get in. And I really didn't know what it takes to write a good essay, to be really prepared, really underestimated how much it takes. So I just went with it, spent really like an embarrassing short amount of time on the essay. Okay. And then the result speaks for itself. So I really thought about this whole commitment again for the rest of last year, and I recommitted myself to doing this program. And that's when I told myself I'm gonna leave no stones unturned to apply for this program. And at that time, I just suddenly remembered that we know each other. This is the kind of work that you do. I'm really gonna hire the experts to help me with this. But even at that point, I was thinking that I should be close. I spent a couple of weeks on it, right? And I'm in the personal branding kind of area. But the key thing is that we all have blind spots about ourselves. We're not really, none of us is really an expert in admission unless we have worked in that area, right? So it's really, really great to be able to talk to you and knowing a lot of things that I actually had no clue that is happening in that area of the organization. And you were able to help me become way more focused with my messaging, make sure everything is super tight. Like, for example, if these are all the things that you're going to talk about, don't suddenly bring in a new message somewhere down the essay, right? And I think for us as applicants, we sometimes tend to like to squeeze in whatever information that we think that is useful to help us make our case. And just really having you, kind of like you're like a coach, where I play a coach to my students and have that had, right? And then you do that to me in this process. And the editing process was really rigorous, which I appreciate. I know I have a bit of a tighter timeline as well, and you were able to really help me turn around those editing. I think we did a couple of rounds, very efficiently, but without sacrificing the quality. So I really, really appreciate that process. Like after those a couple rounds of edits, when we're done, I really felt that I really have done my best. And yeah, like I was confident that if this doesn't get me to anything, I don't know. yeah. So
if they don't take me now, I don't know when they will.
yeah. So thank you again for your like immense your dedication, your critical thinking, and just being very straightforward, right, in pointing out the areas of improvement in a loving way. Yeah, so I really appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome. And it's very interesting that you did the breakdown like that, because that's oftentimes what I try explaining to people in the beginning, that sometimes when people are looking to grad school, they think, oh, I need an editor. And it's like, no, you don't. You have to really do all of that messaging work first, you know?
Yes.
It makes sense in your head because you didn't wait, especially you, like you didn't wake up and just suddenly decide, oh, I'm going to try this random program. It was very meaningful to you. It was connected to many of your life experiences. So it's like you have all of that, but how do you communicate that to somebody who has never met you? It's like I'll say to people, you see somebody for the first time and then they just and tell you everything in like 5 minutes. You'd be very overwhelmed, right? As opposed to how do I introduce this program to who I am, to what my vision is, to why this vision is there. So yeah, that's exactly how it works. Like you focus on the messaging, then the writing, then the editing, you know, tie it all together. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, those are all of my questions for today, but you're not going to escape.
Oh, really?
Without
Okay.
answering the final question, that's always of interest to me, before and after working with someone. And I mean, this would be a perfect fit for you because you do work like this. I am interested in knowing, what do you want the legacy of your career to be? Like, this is what you do. So could you just tell us a bit about what exactly you're trying to create in the world? Just tell us some more about that.
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, it will really come with a general direction and in terms of in what shape or form it should take. I'm always an advocate of we don't need to have it exactly laid out right now. So again, it's kind of like aiming for the North Star, but not the North Pole. So in general, I really, so this is not just about the program, about my career, my life, is I like to really help people figure out what is unique about them, what makes them different, and helps them get into that state and get into the kind of activities that helps them really get in touch with what touches their heart, what kind of causes in the world touches their heart, and how they can connect with people and contribute back to their world. And then on the other hand, using their careers or whatever involvements that they get into to kind of like align them together as much as they can. So that is kind of like still the career side that I'm still very passionate about. It's that wayfinding, I would say. Let's put it that way. And on the other end, I think we talked about this when we're working together, is that once you find the way or the general direction, you also need to have the grit, right? The perseverance, and to pursue it, right? You need to know, okay, how do I do this? How do I ask for support from people around you? And there's bound to be challenges. How do you recover from that, and in an organizational setting or individual setting? So this is kind of the realm that I like to play in. Specifically, how does that potentially look like? Again, like it may change, but right now what I have in mind is being able to introduce this type of concept, right, in positive psychology, to inject that into business school. I think right now our business school education, it requires some disruption, right? People are getting more and more diverse. Like, how do you get people from different backgrounds work together more effectively? How do you train future leaders of the world, who a lot of them are, say, MBA grads, right? How do you teach them the right mindset to foster a more positive, resilient organization? I think it starts from our business school here, and I have a lot to contribute in that sense. And on the other side, I also support a lot of entrepreneurs. I am an entrepreneur myself. There's so much resilience building that is called for, right? You are one yourself. So many things that could go wrong. You need to learn how to motivate yourself, get other people to help motivate you, right? So that is really the one of the legacies that I like to leave as well. It is supporting people who actually are are so brave to want to do something for themselves and for their clients, and then how do we help them work even more effectively and make their great businesses more bigger and have a more fulfilling life and business.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very clear.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always believe that when you are really able to bring people to that space, they are more willing to and more able to find creative solutions to build communities, to solve other problems in the world. So for example, like I really care about the environment, right? But I don't pursue a career within how do we get people to recycle more? But I'm just thinking with the work that I do, like I can get people to think bigger, right? Think about, okay, what are we doing to our planet, right? What are we doing to poverty, to the homelessness problems in our community? So I wanted to get people to be able to think bigger and know that you actually can make a difference in that. These are not tasks to be taken by politicians or people who are high power. Every one of us can be empowered to make these differences. And I think positive psychology has a role to play in this enabling kind of realm.
Perfect ending. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation today, Iris. So again, well, I mean, hopefully you're not just joining, you would have watched it all, but Iris, she is heading off, or she's staying locally, working and traveling sometimes to complete a master's in applied positive psychology at UPenn. So congratulations. It was a joy to support you, and I'll definitely be watching all of the wonderful things that come out of your experience as you go through it and afterwards.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shanake. And then let me know if we can I can help you in any shape or form in the future.
Thank you.